It is cold and flu season. So we do have a lot of people that are sick right now with these respiratory viruses. And this one's a little different because this person was infected with a strain of influenza that was spread from wild birds to their domestic birds and then to themselves. And so in a way, the risk is pretty localized, although it does seem to be growing across the US. So I guess what that means for Louisiana is the risk to the general public is still low. This is the only case that's been identified in people. This is not a strain of influenza that can spread between people, luckily. And the majority of people that are infected with seasonal flus. And some of those are directly from person to person. Some of those are from wild animals, eventually to people, and then spreading through the human population. And those are always much more of a concern because there's so many people that are infected on an annual basis. And like our case here, if you're older, you're immunocompromised, you have underlying health conditions, that puts you at a much greater risk of severe mortality, being hospitalized, and potentially dying from the infection. It's still a good time to get your flu shot. Flu shot's going to prevent not avian influenza, but seasonal influenza and the possibility of being co-infected with those viruses, which is really what we're more concerned in the long run, that this bird flu that we have spreading across the US right now has some kind of mutation or a reassortment event, which makes it more transmissible between people, which is what we have not seen yet. What the state recommended and what we would recommend is that people be careful about sick and dead animals and their droppings and contact with them, and not eating undercooked poultry or eggs or milk, consuming milk that hasn't been pasteurized. We do have this happening all the time. We do have migratory birds moving from different parts of the country. We sometimes have them infected with bird flu viruses, and they can spread to local birds or to backyard flocks. And I believe most recommendations are, keep those bird feeders up to feed the birds in your neighborhood. But if you have a backyard flock, try and keep that distance from the flock to not encourage that interaction between your birds that you were either growing because of agriculture or your backyard poultry and those wild birds that are passing through.